Welcome to Wednesday and welcome to the Contrarians live chat. The topic tonight, album covers that send the wrong message. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's keep this interactive. Let's do this. Hey everybody, we are live and it's Wednesday, and you know what day this is? This is the Contrarian live chat day. And I hear an echo. Hold on, everybody. Let's all calm down. Well, I've got echo cancellation on. I think we're all right. Let's just see what happens.
Is it me? I'm not hearing anything. Are we good?
I don't know. I hear something. I don't hear anything now. Hold on.
All right.
For our topic tonight, album covers that send the wrong message. And you know, when I was putting my list together, I was going, there's a lot of these that we've already talked about. I think this is a similar topic, but whatever, we're going to do it anyway. So our panel tonight, we've got Michael Ladonna, who's in a midlife crisis. We've got Peter Kerr, Jamie Laszlo, who is not in a midlife crisis, but
I am.
He is in a midlife crisis.
I think we're all past midlife at this point.
Now you're going to bring, you know what, Martin? You say that, you're going to bring Ladano down. He's fragile. Don't say that. I'm going to live forever, gentlemen. So anyway, our topic, like I said, album covers that send a wrong message. So I think we're going to start off with Mr. Popoff tonight. And then we'll go, well, let me look at my list because, Jesus, that has a lot to do with it. We'll go Martin. We'll go to Mr. Ladano. We will go to Peter. Actually, this works out well. Peter. Where's Jamie's list? God. Jamie, did you send me a list?
I think I did. I got it right here. I got I'll just do my own.
I don't seem to have it.
That's okay.
All right, well, we'll just do it like that. This is gonna corrupt everything and maybe bring down the channel, but we'll try to reconvene.
That's live TV, folks. That's live TV.
So as we always do, I don't have your list. I don't know where it is. Maybe it's, well, you know, I'm just barely here. The dementia is so deep at this point that I can barely function. All right, so Martin, panel, we are going to go 3, 3, and 4. You know how we do it. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's keep this fun. Let's keep it interactive. And let's start off Mr. Popoff.
All right. Well, first I want to thank Michael for plugging my Iron Maiden book. He's got a great video on it. It's up behind me here. Big, heavy thing. There we go. That just came out. And also this just came out. Plug this. The new Guns N' Roses came out yesterday. My new Guns N' Roses at 40 career highlights. I just got my stash today. You get that at martinpopoff.com. Sign them, send them out, all that good stuff. Okay, I'm starting out with the Buzzcocks. Trade test transmissions. Yeah, so the funny thing about this band, I keep claiming up and down this is one of my favorite bands of all time, but I really don't know these later albums that well, and they're good. I mean, they only made 3 studio albums proper in the old days, and then they came back and they got about that many more, maybe a few more. But these later ones are just like the earlier ones. But the funny thing about it is I really think it sends the wrong mission, because even the title Trade Test Transmissions, it sounds like an electro Kraftwerk type album. It looks like one. It looks very high tech. This is a play in a matchbox, fast and frantic, punky band. You got Pete Shelley's vocals on there. They're just guitar, bass, and drums. They continue on with the same kind of deal with, this does not look particularly punky, maybe a little more. And then Flat Pack Philosophy, the one I play the most of all of them, actually, the whole catalog. I played this hundreds of times, but it does not look particularly punk either. So it's this whole Manchester, Factory Records, Joy Division, New Order kind of look that they have. It's very sleek, and I think it's very non-punk rock. So I don't think it really tells the story. Now, this is another, this is a bit of an obscure one. This is one that I've featured before for other reasons. I think the Hounds Unleashed, or just Hounds Unleashed. And the funny thing about this record is it looks completely like a punk rock record. It's not the Hounds; it's just Hounds with the paint dripping. It's called Unleashed. It's got this girl on there with a chain and a dog collar. And then the back's looking a little more artsy, but it is on CBS Columbia. Now, this band only made 2 records. I've featured the other one on here before. I think it's a masterpiece, Putting on the Dog. It just seems like it should have been a huge album. It's so commercial and good. It's 1979. So they only made the 2 albums. But, this band, I'll tell you about the music in a second, but the band looks like this and this.
They're all leany.
And this, right? And this looks a little bit like John Lawton there from Uriah Heep. But it's just a good. It is a little raw and hard rocking. It's very different from the second one. It's definitely a little raw and a little closer to this album cover than the second album. But the second album has an even classier album cover. But yeah, this is not a punk rock band. Hounds is just a stupid name for what this is. It's just good commercial hard rock. It's got good riffs. It's a little bit like Stars. It's a little bit like a smarter version of Stars. This is a really good album. Maybe a little bit more like a polished heavy metal New York Dolls, or a little bit like the Dictators. They're from Chicago, but they were a great band. So that's my second choice.
All right, wait a minute, Martin. I got to stop you. What would your rating out of the 2 Hounds albums? Rate the first one, rate the second one out of 10 quickly.
I would give this one an 8, and I'd give the second one a 9. And,
all right, good, because there's a label out of the UK that put these out on CD.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, I ordered those today, and I'm going to make a
excellent. I think you'll like them. Okay, my last one is even more obscure. Diamond Rio Dirty Diamonds. I don't know if I've ever showed this before, but there you go. There's the band. Here's the first one, Diamond Rio.
Those guys are cool.
And it looks like power pop. And but the second album, they really heavied it up, and the guitar riffs are much meatier. The production's good. It's very aggressive playing, but they still look like a power pop band. They do not look like any sort of a hard rock heavy metal band. There's what the back looks like. Pretty cool. It's got the diamond ring there. But yeah, just the song titles are not that aggressive, really. Loverboy, Power, All Over You, It Ain't What You Say, It's What You Do, Scratch My Back, It's a Jungle Out There, Boys Will Be Boys. Helter Skelter's on here. There's a cover of Helter Skelter. But yeah, this is a pretty rockin' album, and it definitely does not look like a heavy metal album. So they really should have changed their look from here to here, and it might have done them some good. So there you go. That's my first 3 choices.
All right, cool.
Let's take a quick look over and a little hello to who's all coming in here. Got Kiefer Livingston. There's Diamond Rio, exactly spelled. Actually, spelt the other. That's right. That's the way that one's spelled. D-Rocker's here with some Shooting Star. Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell is a classic for this. Styx early albums on RCA. Shooting Star, Silent Scream, says D-Rocker. Cinderella, Night Songs, band dressed as poster boys for hair metal, but album was bluesy hard rock. It's still pretty hair metal, though, I imagine.
Yeah.
But lots of people chiming in here. And let's move on to Mike.
Mike, let's hear it.
All right. So just for context, the reason Grant says that I'm in a midlife crisis mode is because apparently I've got midlife crisis hair going on. So now that's cleared up.
But you admitted that you've been in a midlife crisis since you were in your 30s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right.
And I guess let's go with the midlife crisis band right there. That's my first pick. I'm going to go with a deuce actually of Kiss, but Destroyer. I found this one personally misleading when I was like a young guy getting into Kiss for the first time. I was like, wow, that album looks heavy. I bet you that's the album that has I Love It Loud on it, because it looks like it's that kind of heavy. And then I got the album, and it's like there's only like 3 rocking songs on the album. It's very, for Kiss, very light. It's very dainty. And I was shocked by Destroyer when I heard it. And to be honest, I still rank it fairly low in the Kiss catalog.
Interesting.
I wanted to go with a second Kiss pick for my second one, which is Peter Criss, Out of Control. Again, I found this one personally kind of misleading. I don't know what message this is sending. Like, it looks like it's a disco album because, you know, you're in the discotheque and people are dressed up very disco and the jukebox is exploding and there's records flying everywhere. But on the other hand, I expect this to be a much more like exciting, just come on, give me some kind of spark here with this album. And it is so Peter Criss. It's so Peter Criss. It's him being a balladeer. It's him trying to, I don't know. He was very.
It's true though. It does look heavy, right? It's kind of got a Kiss vibe and a Kiss look to it. It's called Out of Control. It's the drummer from Kiss. Drummers are supposed to always be heavy, right?
Right.
Drummers are the rockers in the band, and yeah, you're right. This one's really misleading.
Having said that, it's grown on me because I'm a Kiss sucker. I'm a sucker for Kiss.
You're like a big Peter Criss fan, aren't you?
Hey, you know, I listen to his two solo albums and his Kiss solo album quite frequently. Yeah, I do.
Well,
actually.
see, there you go. So you dig it.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah,
sure.
It's good. Took a while though, because I'm like, what the hell? You know, what is this message that I'm being sent?
Well, we did a show on last week where we were talking about rock candy releases, and Brendan Snyder brought up he likes what's the album after this, the Peter Criss album after this?
Let Me Rock You, where he's kind of like coming out of the shower.
He loves that record. He loves that album. He loves it.
Got some good tunes on it, but he looks like I was almost going to pick that one because it looks like, you know, some guy coming out of the shower and he's going to sing you, I don't know, Tom Jones songs or something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, for my third pick, I wanted to go with something kind of special. This is a band called Hibakusha, and this album came out in 2004. And guys, I don't know, what would you say that sounds like based on that cover?
Grunge light, Halifax grunge light.
Indie rock.
Halifax grunge like Sandbox or
I'd say indie rock. I'm totally with Jamie on this.
Okay, so here's what it really is. This is from my review that I wrote. This truly is a great world-class album. You can hear the Rush influences in the lead vocals, the complex rhythms and the drum patterns, and the impeccable musicianship. You can tell Hibakusha have listened to their fair share of the Holy Trinity in their formative years, even the later groove-oriented Rush circa counterparts. This exists simultaneously with a modern edge, a droney cloud of simple melodic elements that grounds the whole thing. It shines like a new car, one you can't wait to drive over and over again. I highly recommend this to people who do like 90s Rush. Check out the song Masquerade. I think it's on YouTube. But this is a local group. They recorded this album in Cambridge, Ontario. The lead singer was a fellow by the name of Paul McLeod. And by coincidence, Paul actually died 9 years ago yesterday. And he was a local treasure. And mostly he does like acoustic, kind of folksy acoustic music. This is the heaviest thing he's ever done, and it is freaking great. Everybody I know who's heard it loves it. So check out Hibakusha, self-titled album from 2004. I don't know where you'll find it today, but those are my three.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Quick look here. Yeah, we had a mention of Lou Reed Metal Machine Music. That's absolutely a great one. And then Rolling Stones Dirty Work says classic rock junkie. You know, this is Miami Vice like, and it's true. Rolling Stones are anything but sounding like that. They're just rough, bluesy. It's as dirty a Rolling Stones album as any Rolling Stones album. They're all, you know, that shouter on the mic and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's just the Stones are the Stones. They don't really change that much over time. Grant's giving me some funny looks there, but
I think that's like a low point.
Well, it is a low point, but you know, they essentially always sound like the Stones, right?
You know, that's a good show idea. Bands or artists that you can hear like something. I was just thinking about this today. Bands or artists that you can always identify with.
Yeah.
Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, because some bands put out stuff and you're listening to it and you're going, who is this? Could be anybody.
Yep. Yeah.
But the Stones, you are 100% right, Martin. Still sounds like the Stones.
All right. Over to Australia.
Okay, well, when I was thinking of this show, this was the first album that came to my mind, and I think it was the cover that Grant put together.
Because it was no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer, and I actually did it on Rock Daydream Nation, interview with Pete Golby. Check it out. Abominog, Uriah Heep. Now, you look at this, and you think it's Scandinavian death metal, but really it's tasty, melodic radio rock. A little bit of new wave, but it's completely at odds with the album cover. And even the members of the band don't know what the record company was thinking. I think it was a surprise to them. So it got the effect. I think it's one of those album covers that, you know, you're at the record store, you're looking through, oh, I like a bit of, that looks a bit scary. Let me get it. And then you listen to it and it's something completely different.
The funny thing with that I've never really thought of this, Peter, but the idea that you take the album cover and the album cover is almost like the however many songs are on there, 10. The album cover is almost like the 11th song on it, and it's the heaviest song on it. And it just sort of tilts the album, makes you think a little more heavy metal, because it does have pretty raw production, and there is quite a lot of rockin' songs on there. But it's almost like, okay, the album cover helps you put it in the idea of the new wave of British heavy metal bands, or the bands from the 70s trying to be a new wave of British heavy metal bands. So it puts you in that mind frame and almost acts like the fifth man, or like I say, the 11th song that makes you think a certain way about the record.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really think it's new wave of British heavy metal. Maybe it's a little bit adjacent to it, but I just think the album cover is definitely at odds to the music, because you hear the music, it's in the sort of the sphere of Journey. And if they had a different album cover and they pitched it, it would have been even more successful, because I think that's the way it is. That started to get some radio airplay in America and getting some traction. So I really think at the end of the day, the album cover did it a disservice, not a service. It could have got,
that's what Tom says right below there.
So anyway, that's the most controversial. I think that's the number one pick of this whole thing, because that's the one that comes to mind. Go to Australian band, the Australian Angels, Skin and Bone. Now, I hate this album cover when Grant puts it up. This is when this came out in 1998. Terrible album cover. What does that say to you? Country, Western? Not a
it doesn't say country and Western.
Old desert. It doesn't say to me like hard rock band. Anyway, it's a terrible album cover, and to me, I think everyone that loves the Angels, and when this came out in 1998 and saw it at the record store, looked at it and just put it down and go, what message is this sending? So
I look at it and I think they had no budget, so they hired somebody on what year was this?
1998, and they did change record companies, I believe. So that
they hired somebody on a Mac 2 CI with very limited Adobe PageMaker, and this is what they came up with.
But it is definitely, the album cover doesn't align with the music. To me, it's something completely different.
Yeah.
I'll finish my 3 with Nazareth. Expect No Mercy. Now, again, you look at this looks like something a lot heavier than what it actually is. If you listen to this album, there's a bit of blues, a little bit of slight pinch of country. Yeah, there are some rockers on it, but to me, the album cover is much more heavy and savage and sends much more of a stronger message than the album music actually is.
That's a great album cover, you have to admit, though, right? Come on, that's great.
And when you see it, someone always has to say, right? What do we always have to say? His arms are going to come down and hit the horns, right?
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know if that's physically possible.
I know that's the funny thing about this album cover. Everybody kind of points out. Yeah,
he's already lost the fight.
Yeah, and that's the slight the UK variant, I believe. Canada's certainly had different coloring to the lettering up top. Yeah. All right. Over to Jamie.
All right. I purposely tried to stay away from the theme of the album cover looks like one type of music, but it's actually another type of music. I went a different direction. I might have did one in a certain way, but the rest aren't like that. This just came out recently for Record Store Day. It might have been part of a box set. I'm not 100% sure. Judas Priest live in Atlanta. And the thing is, you have, collage here of all their album covers. You got like Redeemer of Souls there. You got Painkiller. You got Ram It Down. You got Angel of Retribution on there. But the thing is, live 1982.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
It is what it is.
What's going on there?
You're
think it'd be like
trying to sell records.
You got to read.
Yeah, that's dumb.
There's no need for that.
Yeah,
I'm going with Judas Priest again with their box set, the complete albums collection. It doesn't say the complete Columbia collection.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
whatever album cover or album label they were on or whatever. It says the complete album collection, and it's missing the Ripper Owens albums.
Ooh.
So guess what? Incomplete. The incomplete album collection.
yeah, exactly. Point. Yeah.
My third one will give you a headache. Gave me a headache today when I knew it was messed up. I was going to say it's just messed up. I was like, let me get specific. I had to use what's the Shazam app and Shazam each song to get them in order. So Early Moods, Sinner's Past came out last year. Here's the CD. All right. There's what they say the album the song order is. Okay. Underneath is the actual order. So what you have here
is that a sticker?
All out of order, and you got do you got one listed twice? Do you have one listed twice? I'm not sure. Like I said, this will give you make your head spin. And then if you look at the album, it only has 7 songs. All right, so it's missing a song. It doesn't say on here that Blood Offerings is a bonus song. It which isn't even listed on here, but it's not on here. And then if you look at the Bandcamp and download the album, yet another order, and there's not 8 songs, there's not 7 songs, there's 9 songs, and Blood Offerings is on there twice.
Well,
shit will make your head spin.
Sweet.
So that is very misleading.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's take another quick look over here. Kiefer Livingston's brought up Nostradamus, has a cool cover, horrible album, worst of all time. Yeah, the Priest album covers are getting a little too illustratory these days, right? Mantis Wind of Chains, yeah, that's true. That's definitely didn't look right. Big old obscurity there. No Mean City, same kind of thing. Yeah, heavy cover. Witchfind, Give 'Em Hell. Yeah, even Witchfind, even more so. Kyle is Witchfind Stage Fright, which is even lighter and similarly a super spooky looking album cover. You know, with the font and everything and that weird little ghoulish monster thing, textured cover, all black, and yet half of it's very poppy. So yeah, Witchfind is great for this show. Good one. All right, let's move over to Grant.
All right. Okay. Well, here we go. By the time this took me forever because everybody took anything that was anything. Well, maybe not. Oh, look, my number 1 disappeared. Well, we'll go with number 2. I'll add number 1 later. If anybody's keeping track of this, I can load up all these images and then I come back and look and then things will be missing. It never fails. That is what you call a glitch. All right, I'm going to go with my first one. I'm going to go with the Smiths, Meat is Murder. Now, when I look at this, imagine this. I think this could be like a punk rock album.
Yeah.
Or something a lot more harder as opposed to the jangliness of
That's
John
true. It
Lahr
looks
and
like a
crew.
hardcore album. Yeah.
It looks hardcore.
Yeah.
But then you listen to it, we've got jangly Rickenbacker 12 strings all over this thing.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad? Well, I don't know, but still a good record. All right, this record. Now, this kind of part of this album makes sense. Part of it doesn't, because you look at the cover and you're going, yeah, okay, well, this should be a pretty lightweight affair, but it's not. We're talking about Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy, and the Infinite Sadness, which I think is one of the, I will go on record, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest records of the 90s. This is, it got, when it came out, people kind of gave it mixed reviews, but a buddy of mine would play this over. It was absolutely brilliant. But you've got stuff that, you know, pretty hard stuff on here, but then you've got stuff that's not so hard. And that stuff kind of looks like it belongs with this cover. But when this thing rocks, it rocks. So I love this record.
Yeah, I love that cover. Hate that title. Oh man, I hate those really tricky titles like that. Drive me
I like
crazy.
Siamese Dreams better.
Yeah, I don't. This is their
It's good
masterwork as far as I'm concerned. Billy Corgan was on he was on a roll. You cannot deny. This one I'm going to mention because this drove me crazy yesterday. We did a show. I had Cretin on my show, and we were looking at 2 Styx albums, and this is one of them. So I'm going to try to let you guess what's wrong with this record. So we're going to... What's wrong with this record?
It's not good.
Everything.
Well, it's for one, it's trying to masquerade as a good record, and this album's absolutely hideous. 2, where's the Styx logo? Horrible, and I think the album cover looks. But who was the artist that did this?
I think this Johannes, isn't it?
Well, it sucks big time. No offense, ladies and gentlemen. This record's horrible. So I picked this record because it's masquerading like it's trying to be a good record. People were going, "Oh, it's got Tommy Shaw." Well, Tommy Shaw didn't bring it. That's why I'm bringing this one up, because I think it's hideous.
Looks like a new age record.
Peter Kerr, 100%.
Yeah.
It looks new age.
Yeah. Kitaro.
Looks like a Kitaro album.
Yanni.
100%. Anyway, if you want to see me go on a tirade, watch that show. Anyway, so there you go. There's my 3.
Tirade.
I was on a tirade last night because Styx let me down on these records.
Yeah.
What did Cretin say? Did he thumbs it up?
Oh, well, Cretin loves everything.
He does.
No, actually, he rated these low too. He doesn't like these records. But the thing is with Cretin now, he just keeps going and going. It's like he's wound up like Tia's going behind him and winding him up, so he just doesn't stop.
Yeah. Okay, before I get to my next batch, I'm going to take a look here. Stimulant. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Brain Salad Surgery. Great one for this show. Absolutely. Squeeze Frank could be a children's song about pets. 347 Spies. A Bad Company. Yeah. Classic Rock Junkie. Good one. 10 from 6. Supposed to be from the first 6 albums, but has nothing from Burning Sky. Scorpions. Animal Magnetism. Yeah, you can't really tell what kind of record that's going to be, except it's got all sorts of Scorpions cues about it. Kiss Unmasked. Tad 8-Way Santa. Man, Tad's a band I should play a lot more of, along with the Melvins, that's for sure. All right. So my next 3, I've got 3 Dog Night, Around the World with 3 Dog Night. I might have brought this one up before, but this is one of the first albums I ever owned. And to me, this always looked really like they're just rocking out up there. You know, I got it because it looked like they were really rocking out on this, right? And the colors and stuff. I mean, you've never seen more evil looking hot air balloons in your life, right? It's definitely very kind of imposing looking. And on the back, you've got that. On the gatefold, you've got, the slots that the records go in, right? Like that, which is kind of cool. Die cut with the guys. It's actually a pretty neat design. And plus they looked super heavy here, right? You know, I was eventually going to be a drummer, and I loved seeing the clear drums there. That was really cool at 10 years old or whatever. I wasn't 10. I was like 8 years old, 9 years old at this point. But yeah, they just look like a total metal rockin' band. And yet the music inside is just 3 Dog Night doing their covers, all singing away their little cabaret music thing, right? But yeah, so that kind of got me going as a kid. And I knew my path was looking for heavy stuff because, here I am looking at the visual end for heavy stuff, right? Next, I've got Wishbone Ash Raw to the Bone, which I don't have a physical of. But this is right down the line of the...
My God, I hope that's the right one.
Yeah. Right down the line of the Uriah Heep Abominog. I went and played this again just to prepare for this show, and it is just a totally kind of casual bluesy rock album, a little pop. It's very confusing, right? But they're trying to make this thing look like a total new wave of British heavy metal album, kind of the same way. I guess one of the signals with the Heap is the same kind of idea, but yeah, they're trying to fit in with the whole thing. I think it's an 82 record. Something like that. Next, I've got Angel White Hot. I framed up one here. So yeah, this is not a white hot album at all. It's them going poppy, right? It looks like they're burning at the stake. It's going to be heavy and wild and evil, but it's not. And actually, if you look at my framed up thing here, in contrast, here's the band looking all angelic, and they are totally rocking on that album, right? They are rocking on the first two. But yeah, this did not fulfill the promise of that album cover. This album is about as heavy as Sinful, and Sinful is just them on a white background. It looks like Grateful Dead Go to Heaven, right? And it's about the same kind of heaviness as that. So it's definitely not white hot at all. There's nothing white hot about this album. All right, on to Michael.
Okay, well, let's do some genre hopping. With my next pick, it's probably something that's never been seen in the Contrarians before, but Brian McKnight, back at one. I was working at retail. I was working at The Beat Goes On when this came out, and I saw this album cover, and I was like, that's a nice guitar. And I was kind of like, I wonder if this looks, I bet you this kind of sounds like a modern blues, kind of like early 2000s Eric Clapton, that kind of soft blues with lots of guitar. No. This is modern R&B. No, there's no guitars. It's all programming. It's all no. That lasted a few seconds before I took that one off the CD player. I was very disappointed because I saw that guitar and I was like, I want this to be a good bluesy guitar album that I can play in my store. No luck.
I could have already told you that it wasn't going to be that.
Yeah, but this was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, but I could still tell.
That looks like a doppelganger for Bruce Springsteen, doesn't it? Isn't an album cover like
that? I think Human Touch are one of those. Yeah. Yeah. He's similar pose. Definitely. You're right.
Neat.
This next album I actually bought, I'm thinking probably because of Mr. Popoff, but it's Bill Ward's solo debut album, Ward 1 Along the Way, which I think has been reissued with a different cover. I may be wrong, but I don't know what this communicates at all. You can kind of picture like this kind of busker in the 1930s or something like that.
Yeah,
but it is this isn't what the album sounds like at all. It's kind of like a mixture between Black Sabbath and progressive rock and just really weird out there stuff.
I don't even hear that.
There's some weird out there stuff on here, like Pink Clouds and Island. Jack Bruce sings on this. Ozzy sings on this.
Yeah.
You could see Ian Anderson doing something like that.
You could see Ian, yeah.
100%.
But this doesn't resemble anything Ian Anderson's ever done. But great album.
Musical.
I found this in the cheapie bin for $2, and I bought it. I played it, and I went, "Oh, good Lord!" And I sold it and made some money on it because it's out of print. It made I couldn't get it. I didn't get it.
Okay, well, fair. I paid $1 for it, and it was the best dollar I ever spent. My final pick of this round is the Four Horsemen, getting pretty good at barely getting by. So if you know this band, they're kind of like an AC/DC kind of sound. Like their first debut album on Deaf American was definitely like an AC/DC vibe. But when I see that cover, I'm just thinking Country Hicks. Like this looks like a hoedown. It looks really bad. Unfortunately, that album cover is really, it's not good, and it doesn't really represent the music inside. I think this is a fantastic album.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, love both of them. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
I play them all the time. Yeah,
this one's a little bit more laid back because Frankie wasn't singing in that high Brian Johnson register anymore. But man, is it good! If you like that kind of bluesy rock, check out the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
that's my 3.
Awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, on to Australia.
All right, well, this is one band that's definitely never been on the Contrarians. Throbbing Gristle, 20 jazz funk greats.
I think this has been on here before.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who. Someone presented it.
Yeah, you look at this, and this looks like a Summer of Love type of music, but it's actually industrial, performance art, post-punk. They're pretty heavy. They're pretty out there, and this is definitely at odds with what you see on the album cover. So there you go, 20 jazz funk greats.
Now that's certainly an intentional mistake.
Hold on. William Walker coming through with the dono, $20.
Very nice. Thank you.
He hasn't been around for a while, but boy, when he comes back, he's I'm going to give you a salute, William Walker.
No,
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Very nice.
All right. Next one, Bruce Hornsby. We're doing a little bit of genre hopping. Spirit Trail. To me, this looks like pub sing-along songs.
Yeah.
I love Benny Hill.
Yeah, Knees Up Mother Brown. I don't think this sounds like a Bruce Hornsby album, or, sounds like it looks.
Or a 60s comedy album, right?
Yeah.
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 Very British too. So I don't know.
Who on this panel has ever seen this album cover in their life?
Yeah, I think I have. I think I have.
Well, Don,
I have never seen it.
Working retail, Grant.
He's a professional.
Yeah. Exactly.
Alrighty. And then just going to Whitesnake, Trouble. Those early albums of Whitesnake, I've always thought that the album covers were a lot stronger to the bluesy, a little bit more laid back rock. You look at that and you think it's a little bit stronger, a little bit more riffy, a little bit harder, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a bit more sort of laid back blues. But that's the trick. You're intrigued, you buy it, and you want to listen to it.
Good point. Same with Love Hunter, even more so, right?
Well, Love Hunter's a different animal.
And then they actually get a little heavier, and the album covers get a little more classy and austere, Ready and Willing, right? So, all right. Very cool. Let's see. Looks like Rodney Dangerfield. That's very true, Normand. Let's see. What else we got here? King Crimson had a US and European version of their Islands albums. Both covers were terrible, says Gregory Pegg. Classic rock junkie. Girl on Left was on UFO Force It. That's true. Montrose Jump on It. Yeah, absolutely. 999 Separates, among other examples. Too Slick and Clean for Punk. Excellent, though. Bill Ward looks like oompa music, says the Elder.
It does. It likes he could be part of Willy Wonka.
And I hate those album titles that mix things up, like Ward 1 Along the Way, right? Bill Ward, Ward 1 Along the Way. Like, just decide, pick an album cover. Stop the name of the band here. Pick up over here. Here's the name of the album, right? Molly Hatchet, Kingdom of 12. Yeah, that's a pretty dumb album title too, but those all look pretty cool. Cold Lake by Celtic Frost. All right, on to Jamie.
Like Deep Purple in rock. Is it Deep Purple in rock? Or
exactly, yeah.
Rock?
I don't know, but that's not a good cover either.
And if you talk to the Dictators, they don't want you to.
No,
the Dictators do not want you to call that album "Go Girl Crazy." It's the Dictators "Go Girl Crazy" every time. They'll correct you. So.
All right, my next one is AC/DC. Who made who? You have to look closely. You can't tell on the front cover. Just looks like an AC/DC album, but a lot of people probably forget it is the soundtrack to Maximum Overdrive, the Stephen King movie.
Yeah.
And nowhere does it say on here soundtrack.
Yeah.
Next two, low hanging fruit for this type of thing that I'm doing. Traveling Wilburys Volume 1 came out.
Yeah.
Well, what does that say
to you? Volume 3. Yeah. So if you bought Volume 3, you'd be going, and you had Volume 1, you said, was I in a coma? And I didn't realize it, and Volume 2 came out?
Yeah. We used to say that Nobody's Child was Volume 2.
Yeah, but Jamie, those who know knew.
Okay.
If you were tapped in, you would know.
Well, same goes for Honey Drippers Volume 1.
Well, there
you go, okay. Can I get Volume 2? Nope, there's just a Volume 1, and that is it. And not only is it a Volume 1, but it's an EP, so it's not even a full volume.
Yeah, exactly. It's low volume.
They never ever did another one.
No, not yet.
True. Yeah. It is
all right, over to Grant.
All right, so my first one that I had to go and retrieve out of the abyss was going to be this. We're going to go with, well, seriously, what do you, when you see this, what do you think? I'm going to, not the Smiths, damn it. Adam Hart Mother.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's prog or Psychedelic to me.
It does seem krautrock, though. It does seem krautrock. So it is. It is
krautrock. I could go with that
for a very avant-garde album, right?
Yeah, I would never. If you presented this to me, I would never guess what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one. Here we go. This one, Budgie. You look at this and you're thinking, my God, this is a great this has to be prog because it's Roger Dean, but you hear it and it's not prog.
And it's a gatefold.
Yeah. But that even makes you think that it's more prog.
Yep. Yep. It's true.
Not prog, ladies and gentlemen. No. Hard rock. This is one I think it was Peter. Is it Peter Kerr that came up with something? Yes. Peter Kerr had one, and I kind of bounced off of this. So my next pick, I'm going to go with this, the Melvins Houdini. Now you're thinking, wow, what a nice little record, even though it looks like the dog has some issues. But other than that, you're thinking, oh, look at these kids playing. It seems really nice. But then this is a dirgy, sludgy rock record,
That was a thing in the 90s, though.
You thought Master of Puppets was sludgy.
When you saw a nice cover in the 90s, it was always hard.
Yeah.
Now, Peter's got one coming. But I'm sorry. I put all this together, so I went, there has to be another one like Peter picked. So I went, the freaking Melvins. But that dog, I hope they took that dog to the vet. That's all.
It doesn't know which direction to go.
I know. Yeah. And it's got
like the album.
4 eyes.
Like Van Halen Balance. Same deal.
Well, that's another one.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. The Melvins. So
nice.
That's my 3.
Okay, so my final 4, I'm kicking off with Mott the Hoople Mad Shadows, because this one really ticked me off as a kid. I did go buy this and thought it was going to be heavy. Mott the Hoople looked like the most, crazy evil rockin' band you ever saw, with Ian Hunter with his long blonde locks and always the glasses on. And then this one's called Mad Shadows. As a kid, as a 12-year-old or whatever, you thought that's totally heavy, and you look at it, but no, it's one of their lighter albums of this band that's not even very heavy ever. They're kind of like,
do we even know what this image is? Is this a uterus or something? What is this?
I'm not sure. It's a double. Yeah, it's one of those split in half.
I think it's a uterus. I have no idea.
All right, I thought it was a wolf all my life. I thought. Anyways,
either way, if Martin, if we did a bad album cover show, this is definitely up at the top, pretty close to number 1.
Yeah. Next, I've got Faith No More, Angel Dust, which is, one of the most beautiful, brilliant album covers, right? Well, that's sort of weird. So let's see. Am I backwards here? Oh, I am backwards.
No,
you're good.
You're not backwards here.
No, I'm totally backwards. I'm backwards.
No, you're not mirrored on the.
Really?
You're okay. Right. You look okay.
Yeah,
well, that is weird.
Brave words.
Anyways, this is a pretty rough and anti-commercial album. It's got stilted sort of rhythms. It's just not as smooth going down as the real thing was. And the title Angel Dust, that's got both things going on with it. I mean, obviously it's a very hard drug that was in vogue for a little while there. But it's very bad for you. But yeah, the fonts are really super nice and elegant, and of course this picture. And but on the back they betray what it's going to sound like inside, kind of thing. So that's so you've got that going. So yeah, it's an artistic thing they're doing. But I remember this album being just very daring. I was less happy with this than I was with the real thing. It was a little bit too atonal feeling for me. Next, I've got Humble Pie Street Rats, which I don't own a copy of. I do own a few Humble Pies, but this again is just absolutely amazing, perfect heavy metal looking album cover. Looks totally evil and badass. The way Street Rats is on there, and we know Humble Pie anyways could be quote unquote a hard rock band. So by the time they get up into these later years, they're sounding worse and worse and worse. And I went and played this to prepare for this show too, and it's like it's definitely a very confusing, not great album. It got terrible reviews. It looks like one of those albums that everybody wanted to love because the album cover is so awesome, and yet it was terrible, right? Next, I've got Grateful Dead, Blues for Allah. This is Low Hanging Fruit. We featured it on shows before with Pete, Sea of Tranquility, but this totally looks like a heavy metal album cover as well. The name of the band, Grateful Dead, if you didn't know any better, sounds like a metal band. It looks like a Sabbath album cover. Yeah, it's got the ghoulish skeleton there and playing the violin, but yeah, totally looks heavy. This is that weird, washy, watery, strange middle years period that I was never a big fan of, kind of thing. But there you go. That's my final four. And let's just take a quick look here. Accept Balls to the Wall sends an incredibly bad message, says Kelly W. Let's see. Street Rats cover does look amazing and the album is dull. Absolutely. Robert Plant, Carry Fire. Interesting choice. Yeah. Looks a lot more dramatic than kind of is. He's doing that old-timey music thing. It's very quiet, subdued, right? Rush, Different Stages, awful cover. Looks like an album of children's music. Good one, David. Good one. Nirvana, Nevermind. Yeah. But Offspring Americana, does that cover Scream Skatey's 90s skate punk to you, says Kyle. Original cover of Original, The Theses by Typo Negative. Yeah, their album covers interesting. An interesting aesthetic there that they kept up the whole way, right? D-Rocker's got TNT Realized Fantasies. All right, on to Mike.
Okay, well, I was almost going to withdraw my next pick, but let's get it out of the way.
Do it.
High Class and Borrowed Shoes by Max Webster. The reason I was going to withdraw it is because maybe after all, this really does scream Max Webster's music. Maybe it really does represent the music.
Yeah.
But certainly the first time I saw it, it freaked me out. And I was like, I have no idea what Kim Mitchell was doing before he was solo Kim Mitchell, the guy that I knew from, FM radio. What was he doing before that? I couldn't figure it out. You got the bassist that looks like he's a mad scientist. You got Kim looking like he's going for ballet classes, and you got Terry Watkinson looking like he's auditioning for Phantom of the Opera or something like that, or Tim Burton's role in Rocky Horror. So
Poussette Dart Band, remember them? That's what it looks like.
Hello People. He looks like Hello People.
Yeah, exactly.
But on the other hand, maybe this album cover does represent Max Webster perfectly well. So maybe it's a little bit of both. With that out of the way, I went with an album that Rez is the name of the band, stands for Resurrection Band, and the album's called Between Heaven and Hell. And when I see that album cover, I'm thinking like Cyndi Lauper, maybe. Like this is 1985. So, I'm thinking like that kind of singer, but actually this is more of like a hard rock, hard blues Christian band. And they have a really great song called Shadows on this album. That is the reason primarily that I bought this album, because I love that song Shadows. It's just basically great kind of like hard rock with a raspy Bob Seger kind of lead singer. So that's Rez, Between Heaven and Hell. It doesn't sound at all like Cyndi Lauper. In the late 90s, Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses teamed up with one of the Taylors. I think it was John Taylor from Duran Duran and Stevie Jones from the Sex Pistols. And they did an album called The Neurotic Outsiders, which Grant's Rock Warehouse has a very good episode on this band. And that is just a bland 90s crap cover. That is 90s right there. That's the 1990s. But this is a great album. This is the album that got me to check out the Sex Pistols. It's like if you took those Guns N' Roses when they do those fast beat rhythms with Matt Sorum on the double bass, and you throw in that punky edge, but then you actually do get Steve Jones in there. That's what this sounds like. And I would say, 8 out of 10 great songs on this album. Grant's nodding his head. Grant agrees.
100%.
I really do love this album. I think this was the summer. I want to say summer of 96 that this came out. And this was in my car deck the entire summer. It was just one of those surprise albums. I did not want to like it based on that cover alone, but it's great.
Yeah, that cover, Mike, screams, "Don't buy me."
Oh, totally. It screams, "I'm a garbage album."
Right, 100%.
He looks like the Offspring guy.
See in the cutout bins.
Yeah, he does. He's got the Offspring guy hair.
Yeah,
and he's got water wings on and a shovel, and he's going to the beach. So maybe it's a beach album. I don't know. Anyway, my final pick. Some Canadian content here. Band called Brighton Rock and an album called Love Machine. And I just think this was the wrong cover for this album. This was kind of like their "we want to get serious, we want to get heavy" kind of album. And I don't think this cover did them any favors. You know, it's kind of still in that hair metal realm. You know, he's got the American flag patches on his pants, and they've got the big hair, especially Fraser there, Greg Fraser with the big hair. I really think that this cover does not represent the music inside, where they really tried to heavy it up a bit and tried to break into the 90s with something a little bit more edgy and a little bit less fluffy. And I think the cover was a fail personally.
Well, don't you think maybe the title was a fail? Love Machine?
Yeah, the title was also a fail too. Maybe they could have called the album Bulletproof. That was the opening track, and it's really heavy, a good riff rocker. I'm afraid that, I mean, I love Brighton Rock. I love all their albums, but I know what they were trying to go for here, and it just, it didn't sell, and I don't think the cover was going to sell it.
Yeah, terrible text too, eh? Brighton Rock looks terrible, Love Machine looks terrible, and then you got this.
It needs a little work.
You got 3 fonts going on there, and you know, the band name isn't in the Brighton Rock font, which it should be. It's just, to me, it's a fail in every way.
Yeah. All right.
If they had used their proper font or logo, that would have helped.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with the band picture. I just don't like, I'm with Martin. I don't like the way the text is laid out.
Yeah. My issue with the band picture is that to me, it doesn't represent the music that they were going for at the time. It represents them from 2 albums ago.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. All right. Was that your final 4?
That's my 4.
Okay. All right. On to Peter.
Okay. Final 4. This band is called Alaska, which was Bernie Marsden's band outside Whitesnake. And you look at it and it looks like it's something really kind of heavy, powerful. But with Bernie Marsden, it's a bit more laid back, a bit more bluesy, completely at odds with the music that's on the album. So a lot of the Alaska album covers were kind of had that Arctic, icy type of theme, and that's no different. So there you go, Alaska, Bernie Marsden. Next one is the one that Grant was doing a counterpoint to, and this is Eels, Daisies of the Galaxy. So this is what he was feeding off. So you look at that, it looks like story time for the kids. It's like nursery rhymes, and it's not. It's got a lot of bite.
It's a good record, though. I'll give you that, Peter.
It is. And probably the giveaway is the parental advisory sticker that was on all the those Eels albums at that particular time. Deep Purple. Has any classic rock band got the most woeful albums in the later part of their catalogue? Terrible. Bananas. I really don't see what message this album cover sends. It's completely at odds with the music, but it's just, I think it's trying to be funny and clever and irreverent. I don't know. When you look at it, is it world music? Is it Indian music? I don't know.
Yeah.
It says
also, When We Rock too, right? That compilation, is that what it's called?
When we rock, and when we roll, we roll.
Yeah, look, it's a compilation. It's just a boring old greatest hits album, and it looks totally like a mighty new studio album, right?
Yeah. Look, I get the feel that their album covers, it's a decision made right at the end of the process, and it's like last minute, let's just pick that photo there. It's like a screensaver. Anyway, it's terrible.
It's like just some kind of website they went to find some kind of clip art or something.
Yeah.
And it was cheap, and it just not well executed. Not well executed.
Too bad fonts
one
there too.
Yeah, the fonts. Praying Mantis. Time Tells No Lies. So again, you look at this one. This looks like an Isaac Asimov novel. It looks very science fiction.
It's cool.
Possibly prog rocky, but it's not. And I don't like the font on this one either. It looks a little bit cheapy.
Yeah. Yeah, this also looks very, you could say this looks very heavy metal, and it was right in the thick of the new wave of British heavy metal, and it's more like AOR, new wave of British heavy metal, right? Yeah. All right, on to Jamie.
Oh, that was 4? Okay.
We're whipping through them. Well, kind of.
Right.
Well,
we're
late.
54 minutes.
I'm picking us up here.
My next one is Kiss, Creatures of the Night. This is the original cover that I don't have. You have Ace Frehley on there, but he doesn't really play on the record, does he?
Right.
No,
And then
he doesn't at all.
a reissue in 1985. You have like Vinnie Vincent playing most of the stuff on this record.
All of it. Well, other than
Rick Derringer.
They reissued it and they put Bruce Kulick on there, and he doesn't play on it either, right?
Right.
Right.
So, so
dumbasses.
Wrong, misleading.
Nice.
And my next one is Witchcraft. This came out in 2020. This is like a doomy stoner occult rock band. And this one's called Black Metal. And I was like, uh-oh, Witchcraft is going black metal. No, it is the lead singer, Magnus Palander, I believe is his last name. It's him sitting in the studio with his acoustic guitar and his depression. And that's what you get for about 35 minutes. I listened to it once, 35 minutes long. It felt like 2 hours and 35 minutes. I will never listen to it again.
Yeah.
This one was misleading to me as a kid when I was first getting into hard rock and heavy metal. I just bought Blizzard of Oz and Diary of the Madman, and I was like, I'm going to get this one too, Speak of the Devil. A, I didn't know it was live. B, I didn't know it was all Sabbath songs. Because this was my introduction to Black Sabbath right here. Wow. So I was listening to all these songs going, what are these songs? Where's Crazy Train?
Yeah.
Nice. My question is whatever every time I go into the cheapy bins or look for it, I never ever see that used. I've never seen it in the used bins ever.
It's hard to find.
For CD. Why is that?
Bit of money.
I'm trying to answer your question. Heavy metal fans don't give up their fucking music. They die first. So the only time you see it in the used bin is probably when someone died or they need money really, really bad.
Yes, maybe that's it, but I never see it.
There's 10,000 copies of Enya because that person didn't like music to begin with. They were just buying something to buy something. Then they got tired of it and they go to the thrift store. Music lovers like metal and they hold on to it.
Yeah, but you find the early Ozzy albums in the used bins all the time.
Not where I live.
Not often anymore.
Well, maybe not where Peter lives, but
not that
where I live, you just go out and get them.
You don't see OG metal albums that often.
Right.
And of course, with Speak of the Devil, you got that home and cracked the code around it, right? It's got the little message all in the ruins. Yeah. So you figured that whole
thing. Of course, Logan, where he
cool.
lives, he found it used. He's the only one.
All right. This always bothered me. Let me get all this situated. Chicago albums and their numbering always bothered me. Chicago 5. So most people will go, oh, so this is the 5th studio album of Chicago. No, it's the 4th because they counted their big box set live album as 4. You shouldn't be counting the live albums, but okay, so you count the live album as your 4th album, and this 5th one is really your 4th. So from here on out, we will just subtract 1 from each number, and we will know that is the number of that studio album. So no, you get to Chicago 10, and it's actually their 8th. Why? Because the album before is their greatest hits, and they counted it the 9th, which they shouldn't have. So this is actually their 8th album, number 10, not their 10th.
Nice. Very cool.
Well,
okay. Cool. On to Grant.
All right, I'll wrap this dog up quickly because, well, we're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go with, you probably don't know this. Well, maybe you do. Parquet Courts. What does this scream to you? Country and Western, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's like alternative, grungy kind of rock and roll. It's not country, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I'll tell you, I was running out of stuff, so I had to go out and search. How about this record, Helmet Betty? Yep. This definitely isn't easy listening. Though I look at it and I'm going, well, it would be nice to share a flower with her. I did think that. But
it's a great cover. And the ads, they had other shots from kind of that same sort of aesthetic or shoot. I think there's one might be on a bike or something. But yeah, the ads look really cool too.
If you're looking for Barry Manilow or something like that, you're not going to find that here. Yeah. And then, of course, I've already mentioned this abomination, but God dang. Let's look at it again. What a mess. This one, the band Earth. This looks like something that this looks like something that Laszlo would have. I don't know if he does.
I don't have Earth too.
This is the second one. This, if you can look down at the bottom, you've got like little animals out on the plains at the bottom, but this is like industrial, like, I don't want to say this is industrial, and it does not represent what is on this record by any means. Other than that, oh yeah, one more. This seems very calm and I don't know, makes me feel good about myself. Feels like I'm floating in the heavens. And I'm trying to remember what Turnstile was about, but it wasn't this feeling. But I'm coming up blank, ladies and gentlemen. It's something aggressive and dangerous, and I think it's like death metal or something like that.
Wow.
Pretty sure.
Cool.
Hey, I apologize. I was running out of time.
It looks like it's been out in the sun too long.
Yeah.
Somebody left it in their front
like,
seat of their car.
It looks like something. It looks like a Caravan album or something.
It looks like a Warner Brothers comp. It looks like an old
be.
promo gatefold.
Does anybody know what Turnstile was? I think it was like, okay, Turnstile is
about feeling good.
That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's like really aggressive. I don't know what it is.
All right, go through the Turnstile.
Hardcore. It's hardcore. Ed, that's it. It's hardcore.
All right, so wrap her up.
All right. Anyway, hey, I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. We got a dono. Holy crap. Thanks, William Walker. You are our shining star tonight. If you'd like to be on these programs, we'd love to have you. We have a Ko-fi. Buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We also have a Patreon. The shows go up early. Martin's on fire. We have videos coming at you like lasers, like Star Wars. And a lot going on there. We also like donations like we just saw from William Walker. He must have felt a lot of guilt for not being here for a while. That's what I'm thinking. Had to throw some dough. Anyway, William Walker, we do appreciate you. I'm assuming we'll be back next week. So please like, subscribe, and we will see you back here. Hopefully, if we have something to talk about. So.
All right. Thanks, folks. Very cool. See ya.
Later.
Let me hit the right thing, and then we will end this dog. Here we go.